can't walk right now. It feels like this week has been going on for about 4 weeks already. I had time to go for a wee and eat a banana. I feel broken. I eat the diet of like a 7-year-old. It's miserable. I have so far objectively failed. Well, this is a frustrating update. It's Tuesday morning, it's just before 10 a.m. I'm on my way into the office, and you probably noticed by now that there was no footage of Monday, because today is Tuesday and this is the beginning of the vlog. So yesterday was the day after the Cardiff Half Marathon, and to be really honest with you, I just couldn't be bothered filming. I didn't do anything exciting, I didn't do anything. I basically sat in the office and felt sorry for myself for a day. I was very tired, I was very run down, everything hurt, and it was just one of those days where I thought I have nothing interesting to show you, I have nothing interesting to tell you. So for me, the week starts today on Tuesday, quarter 4 starts today on the 3rd of October, and I'm excited. And speaking of quarter 4, actually hints as to what this week is going to be about for me. So I set some pretty big goals for this year back in December last year, and some of them I'll hit, many of them I will not hit. But the goals that I have no excuse not to hit are around my health and my fitness, because I believe that I am in complete control of that, right? I dictate what foods I put into my body, I dictate how much exercise I get, I dictate how many steps I do each day, I dictate almost all of the variables when it comes to my health. And yet this year, I have not taken it nearly as seriously as I ought to. Now, yes, I did things like run the Cardiff Half Marathon the other day. Yes, I go to the gym fairly infrequently at this point. Yes, I try and eat relatively healthy, but to really hit the goals that I've set for myself from a health perspective this year, this final quarter is going to have to be perfect, right? This final quarter is going to have to be really intentional and really considered. And so I've been thinking for a few weeks that the perfect time to begin far better eating habits, to begin far better training habits, to begin getting more movement into my day generally, taking care of myself that bit better, is in this final quarter. Because as good for you as running is, it kind of encourages bad habits, right? It encourages you to sink a shitload of sugar during runs and before runs, and eat lots and lots of calories, because for example on Sunday I burned something crazy like 6,000 calories according to my Apple Watch. And it also leaves you tired and without time to do things like strength training. So now that I've got the big running related goal of the year out of the way, that is the Cardiff Half Marathon, I'm just going to spend the next 3 months between now and the end of the year really focusing on nutrition, really focusing on fitness, really focusing just generally on my health. And this week, with a few things I have planned that I'll tell you about as we go through the week, is going to be the kickstart of that 3-month period. Beyond that, lots of this week is just going to be me in the office like it was last week. I have a couple of meetings, including one in about 10 minutes time, so I'm just about to get to the office and begin that meeting. We then have a half-day long meeting with a client on Thursday, and then on Friday I'm going to drive back home to Northamptonshire. So it should be a fairly short day, all being well. Anyway, I'm just about to get to the office, so I'll catch up with you a little bit later on and tell you a bit more about those health and fitness related goals that I'm going to be beginning to focus on this week for between now and the end of the year. So I'll catch up with you later.
At this age, how are them man still hating? My young boy in a different country, but he ain't never been on vacation. One hand on a girl I'm dating, one hand on the cash I'm making. We come through like Funky Friday and have all your man them skating. I came in 550 on trainers. Island girl amazing, could be Bayesian, Trini or Haitian. She got a bag with flowers. If the trainers match, I'll take it. Me and bro just shut down Gucci, had the whole of the shop floor waiting. Who's that girl in a line with a big behind us looking all tempting? If her friend is a dead thing, take one for the team with a brethren. 2 paintings at the entrance, want attention, but a man can't let them. She must think I'm a reverend. You ain't coming here getting redemption, no way.
So the time is about 8:30. I'm just about to leave the office, but before I do, I want to give you an update on a few things, because whatever I recorded this morning, I have no idea what I was saying. I was very tired, I was half asleep, I was in a rush to get to a meeting, and so I don't really know what I said. But there are 3 things I want to talk about. Number 1, the half marathon. So I guess the summary of the half marathon on Sunday is that it was really good, it was a lot of fun. My time was 2 hours and 16 minutes, as you may have seen in last week's episode, which is okay. I'm reasonably happy with it. But a few things happened along the way, which at the time, and at least when I recorded the last part of last week's episode, I thought were all unrelated, right? The goosebumps I had at mile 9, despite the fact that I'd been running for an hour and a half, the fact that I felt freezing cold during and after a really long run in warm weather, the muscle cramps including in my ankle, and I've actually completely fucked my foot, can't walk right now as a result. The feeling of what I thought was low blood sugar that was actually just some sort of fatigue, all of this stuff, it turns out when I googled the next morning, so yesterday morning, is related to dehydration. Now if I retrace my steps, no pun intended, and look at the days before the half marathon, particularly that Saturday when I was out and about, although I didn't record it so you wouldn't have seen it in last week's vlog, going to get the race number, being out and about, drinking coffee, doing this, doing that. When I'm in the office, I drink a lot of water. When I was out and about, I did not. And then I woke up the next morning, I had like a small water with electrolytes and a can of Red Bull and an espresso, right? All of this together meant, I think, that despite how much water I was drinking on the course, because I was so desperate to get water down me, so every water stop I'd be taking 2 bottles. I had 2 Lucozades at the Lucozade stop. I was having all my energy gels, which is somewhat hydrating. My body just wasn't hydrated enough to be dealing with that pace of losing water, to the point where my skin afterwards, I've never had this before, I've heard people speak about it, it was like covered in salt where I'd been sweating out salt. So it wasn't good, right? It wasn't ideal. It was a lot of fun. My time was okay. I'm not disappointed with it. But when I look back, I'm like, actually, that simple variable of just drinking more water would have made it a hell of a lot more enjoyable, because it would have been a hell of a lot less miserable. And also I think it would have improved my time. So I've been looking at half marathons for December. There are 2 I have in mind. They're both on the same date, so I'm not sure what one I'm going to go for. And they're very underwhelming half marathons by the looks of things. It's not like a closing down a city, thousands of people cheering kind of half marathon like Cardiff was this weekend gone. One's in Milton Keynes, and it just looks really B-Tech, like you're running on river paths and there's nobody there and there's a couple of water stops, but it covers the distance with a time chipped event. And the other is in Richmond Park in London. So I'm not sure which of the 2 I'm going to go with. I had almost signed up to one last night and then changed my mind about which one to do, so I don't know. I'm going to wait to see how my foot does, because it's very sore right now. I'm not exaggerating when I say I can't walk. I have to limp and it's very, very painful. So long as my foot is okay within the next week or so, I'm going to pick one of those 2. I think Milton Keynes, just because it's easier to get to at that point in December, because I'll probably be at home and it's the day before my birthday and this and that. And then by the end of the year, I'm going to run another half marathon. Like I say, not to fundraise, not to pester you to donate, literally just to see, with slightly more optimal conditions, knowing what I know from the previous race, if I can get that time closer to or even under 2 hours. So that's update number 1. Update number 2 that I mentioned this morning is about trying to be that little bit healthier in this final quarter of the year. So today I have been trying to eat no processed foods whatsoever. Not just today, that's going to be carrying forward for the foreseeable future until the end of the year. So my diet, although you don't really see it in these videos because I don't show myself eating, because why would I, has typically been terrible this year. It's been like processed foods and fast foods and microwave meals and sweets and sugar and just complete rubbish, right? And alongside gaining a bit of unflattering weight in the process over the past couple of years, I think that from like an energy point of view, from a body composition point of view, from a just taking care of my internals point of view, that diet isn't very good, and it's definitely not sustainable over the long term. So this time last year I was listening to Genius Foods, the book by Max Lugavere, and then I've seen content online from a few other people recently speaking about this idea that you should aim to build your diet around whole foods, foods which aren't packed with countless ingredients, foods which aren't processed, foods which don't contain certain things. And that's the principle that I'm going to attempt, keyword there being attempt, because it's been unbelievably difficult today. I miss my numbers and sugar. I feel broken, but attempt to do that. So eating things like tuna and eggs as sources of protein, right? Eating oats for breakfast and eggs for breakfast, having like a jacket potato with cheese and butter, like actual butter, not this made up butter stuff from supermarkets. Just trying to eat real foods which have like very few ingredients, where you recognize the name of every ingredient on the back and it's not like this crazy processed stuff, just to see over a period of a few weeks, like 12 weeks or whatever, what it does to my physique alongside training. And I'll speak about training more later on in the week, because this is another part of this kind of 12-week plan that I'm building out, what it does to my energy levels and my concentration and my cognitive ability in all of this. And I was going to do this all along anyway, but actually the wake-up call of the Cardiff Half Marathon teaching me that, you know, just drinking slightly less water than I should have done could have done all of that to my body, makes me realize that actually the foods I'm putting into myself constantly every single day with all of that shit in it is probably doing something. So a little mini experiment that I'm going to be pushing with myself is that's update number 2. And then finally update number 3 before I go home. The rest of this week is looking Busy but uneventful. So obviously today is Tuesday. I didn't record yesterday. Yesterday was very uneventful. Tomorrow I have just lots of work here in the office. It's going to be a predominantly desk-based day. Thursday I have a bunch of meetings back to back to back, which basically take up the whole day. And then Friday will be working for the majority of the day. I think I have one meeting on Friday, maybe two if one confirms. I think the very final thing to tell you about before this SD card runs out in 60 seconds is one of the big projects that we were pitching on for a few weeks came through today and has been approved, which is very exciting. It is a big project. It's an incredibly exciting project. It's one that's going to take 3 or 4 months worth of continuous work, and you'll probably see bits and pieces here and there of what we can show you. I'm very excited about that. That has been a silver lining in what has otherwise been a very uneventful, a very tired and a very sore day. I'm going to go to bed. Hopefully my foot feels a bit better tomorrow. Hopefully I feel a bit better tomorrow, and I will catch up with you then. So see you tomorrow. Morning, it's Wednesday, it's just gone 8 a.m. I just got stuck in traffic for half an hour, like on the road out there that's normally clear. There was loads of traffic, so my day's a little bit delayed, but all is good. I'm about to have a coffee, and I really need a coffee, so this is good news. This little mission of eating cleaner this week is already biting. I don't know whether it's that I'm in a calorie deficit, which is unusual for me anyway, or whether it's just the lack of like E-numbers and sugar and processed stuff that normally makes me feel great, like downing a Red Bull in the morning and feeling fantastic. But I just feel flat these last few days. I don't know how else to word it. It's like all of the foods that I'm used to that make you feel a certain way are missing, and I'm eating foods that I know are really good for me, right? I know that the nutrients are far more balanced. I know that the calorie deficit is minor and achievable and sensible, but put all of that together, the losing of the E-numbers, the losing of the huge amounts of sugar, alongside being in this recovery phase from the half marathon the other day where I'm tired and sore anyway. And oh my god, this week is a challenge. It's Wednesday. It feels like this week has been going on for about 4 weeks already. I'm tired. The day hasn't even began. But today is going to be productive. Today is a entirely desk-based day. I have a few hours of work to do this morning, then a physiotherapy call, which is to do with my back, but actually I'm going to try and talk about my foot if they let me, because my foot's way sorer than my back right now, cause half marathon. Then a bunch more work this afternoon, then filming this evening, which means I need to take this hat off and sort my hair out between now and then. So this will probably be a 12 or 13 hour day in the office, a long one, but that's because tomorrow is predominantly meetings, and then Friday I just want to be out of here as soon as possible because I'm driving home. The sooner I can get out of the office, having finished what I need to, the sooner I can get on the road and avoid rush hour around Birmingham, which is a nightmare. So, with that said, run the little time lapse of everything I do today, and I'll catch up with you later on.
No way. At this age, how are them man still hating? My young boy in a different country, but he ain't never been on vacation. One hand on a girl I'm dating, one hand on the cash I'm making. We come through like Funky Friday and have all of your man them skating.
Oh, I'm tired. So it's just gone 10 p.m. I'm just about to leave the office way later than planned, so I switched a few things around this evening from like a content perspective. I did everything I needed to do today, and then content-wise, shifted the vlog edit from tomorrow to today, so spent the last 4 hours, give or take, editing last week's vlog that you would have already seen. I went back to the office on Sunday to try and edit it after the run, and I just made a complete mess of the file. Like, I started editing it, and I'd started like planting the narrative and working out what goes where, and then I just think I got tired on Sunday and it made no sense. So not only did I need to piece together the episode and do all of the like layering of music and overlays and all of the stuff that's intricate anyway, I had to first unpick basically everything that had already been edited because none of it made sense. It took a long time, but we got there, and I think it's quite good. You would have seen it by now, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, know that I stayed up late to do it, and if you didn't, my excuse is that I was tired, okay? Going very meta and speaking about the vlog in the vlog, I'm a little bit worried about this week's episode, because I told you on episode 1 that this is going to be boring, right? This is going to be the reality of running a business, of writing a book, of growing content, of all of these things, and it is intrinsically boring to watch in some ways. But in the first couple of episodes, at least, there was like a narrative for it, right? The first week was the big pitch, the second week was the half marathon. This week, I can't describe to you how tired I am. I can't describe to you how much I can't be arsed doing almost anything because of the injury from the half marathon, which I know I keep going on about it, but it means I literally can't walk. Like, both of my toes are fucked and my left foot is fucked. I can't walk. I haven't been on a walk in like 4 days, which means that even like walking to go for a wee up the corridor and back is like a 7 out of 10 pain, is miserable. So I just haven't done anything that isn't sit at my desk all day. And then when I'm sitting at my desk, there's nothing exciting happening this week. So look, if this episode is really boring, if literally nothing has happened in this video so far, on the one hand I apologise, because look, I mean, nobody wants to watch a boring video, but on the other hand, this is going to be the reality some weeks, right? Some weeks life is going to be a little bit boring and a little bit underwhelming, and I'm going to be a little bit sore or a little bit ill or a little bit run down or whatever it might be, or low energy and forgetting to film and this and that. But like, this project in my eyes is about this, right? It's about showing the exciting weeks, and there are really exciting things planned in a few weeks' time, but it's also about showing these weeks where I'm injured and I'm tired and I'm talking about changing my diet and why that's making me so low energy, and it's basically just B-roll and me talking. Like, there's going to be these weeks, but this is the reality, and this is the reality that almost nobody on the internet shows you. And yet, if you're a business owner watching this, you know that this is a fairly representative week in your life, and it's a fairly representative week in my life. It's just a shame that I don't have the energy to make it more exciting in some way, because I'm busy feeling sorry for myself this week. I'm about to go home to bed. I'm not waking up until 9 AM tomorrow because I've scheduled my day in such a way where I can get away with getting a bit more sleep, which will be good for me, all facts considered. I then have a 3-hour-long client session between 11 AM and 2 PM. Had to do the maths there. Tomorrow. We're going to roll lunch into that. And then I'll probably catch up with you at some point tomorrow. See you then.
I see them man skating now. I'm talking about running their legs. My youngins in country plugging a Z. He can't even butt me till nothing is left. I flooded my right, I flooded my left. I'm ducking your wife, I'm ducking the feds. The bell on the trap is buzzing again, but still I ain't trying to get busted by feds. Look man, I ain't caught the bus in a sec. It's me and my Rambo cutting through West. The way that I went and just flooded my neck, I'm shocked that I ain't got to struggle for breath.
Evening is Thursday. The time is just gone 8 PM and I haven't filmed all day today because I've been in meetings non-stop. So 11 AM until 2:30 PM we had a client in to run through like a strategy session. Immediately after that finished, I had time to go for a wee and eat a banana. And then we had a half an hour long project commencement call, which rolled into a second call with fewer people, which was a 2-hour long call to go over some details of a big project that we closed earlier this week. And then it was like 5:30 in the evening, then I went for food, and then I've just been in the office reviewing last week's vlog that you would have seen. I just like to watch it back to make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be and that it works. And annoyingly, there was a document that I was reading through that is in no way sensitive. Like, I would fairly happily have had it on there, but I just wasn't comfortable with the entire document that I was reading being fairly legible in 4K, just because like that sets a bad precedent. You know, we work with clients who require confidentiality, and although this document was an internal document, it named a client, so I just thought fuck it, went back into Premiere Pro, blurred out the section where you could see the document so you can't see the document, and now I've just set it to re-export again. That will take about 4 hours because it's like a 30-minute long 4K very layered audio and video file. So my laptop is now unusable for the rest of the night, which is fine because I've got nothing else to do, but basically it's annoying that I didn't spot that first time around, so I've just had to re-export the video, and that's going to be doing its thing all night. So I told you yesterday or the day before that I wanted to talk about my approach to my fitness and my health for the rest of this year, because to be honest with you, it hasn't been great. It's not been bad, right? Like I've said, taught myself to run as it was a thing, but like went through the process of training to run for a half marathon, did the half marathon, have eaten fairly well, have gone to the gym on and off. But when I zoom out and I look at it as a whole, has it been that good for me? Well, let's look at the evidence. I eat the diet of like a 7-year-old most of the time. Like, I literally live on ultra processed foods and McDonald's and just shit, right? I don't track my calories, and I get a little bit skinny fat from time to time when I just eat too much and don't move enough. I hardly go on walks during the day that are longer than like a couple of thousand steps, which means I'm probably not doing the movement I ought to be. As you know, I've been speaking to a physiotherapist for some pain in my back because of how I sit and how sedentary I am and all this stuff. I don't go to the gym all that consistently, to the point where like it's so fleeting that it's hardly worth it. And my training
for the Cardiff Half Marathon kind of stopped about 2 months short of the actual event because things got busy and I didn't take it that seriously. So when I look at that evidence, all of it together, I realised that I haven't taken my health or my fitness that seriously this year, despite lots of the goals that I set for this year being around my health and fitness. So in a sense, I have so far objectively failed, right? I have failed at the goals I set, which is bad in one sense, yes, because it means I have to look at a Google Doc at the end of the year and say, oh no, I failed. But it's bad in a second sense, an altogether more important sense, because it's literally my health, right? You don't get to do this a second time. If I get ill or something happens to me, or if I fall behind too much on health or fitness or weight or mobility or any of these things, like, it's very hard to unpick that. And I had used for a while the excuse of that half marathon coming up, which is why I was less consistent with the gym, because I was putting huge amounts of time into running, which is why my diet could have got away with being a bit shit, because I'd be like, well, I need lots of sugar and gels and drinking full fat Coke to help me train. And it's like, cool, perhaps somewhat true, but that's all gone now, right? That excuse of the big first running event, that excuse of being able to just delay things has gone. And so in this final quarter of the year, focusing on sleep, of course, focusing on diet and trying to eat far fewer processed foods, focusing on going to the gym consistently at least 3 times a week, whilst also focusing on doing the running training to move towards future events, staying active, actually going on walks, all of these things, which will begin, majority of them, next week, because to be honest, I've just been written off this week. As you've probably seen in this video, this hasn't been the week to be adding movement into my days, but from next week, and I've planned it all out in my calendar and I've kind of worked out what is viable, just taking my health and taking my fitness really seriously, because I have no excuse not to, and I know I want to. And any of the excuses that I throw out there of, oh, it's too early, oh, I'm too busy, oh, like, they're excuses. Of course I have time. It's just a question of priorities, and, you know, silly things like this back pain. Like, although this isn't necessarily directly related to not going to the gym, and it's almost definitely not directly related to my diet. Like, if I was eating more micronutrients and actually had what my body needed to properly fuel itself and repair, if I trained back at the gym more often, which strengthened the muscles that are now just a bit sore, like, it would probably have avoided the back pain, right? And, you know, I'm still young, don't get me wrong, but I'm moving towards 30, and that's creeping very close to middle age. And I hear the stories over and over again of people who tell me that after a certain point it's very hard to get started properly with fitness. And I was really good in 2019. In 2020, lockdown happened, I kind of gave it up, and I've never really started again since. And so from next week onwards, kind of beginning this week with the diet, but primarily from next week onwards, when the excuses are gone, when I know it's a priority, when I know that time is running out for me to do something about it this year, I'm just going to take it a lot more seriously. So when you watch next week's episode, I hope that you see me doing that, and I hope that if you don't, you can hold me accountable by commenting below and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Because from next week onwards, that movement, that training, those steps, that running, that diet, that sleep, it's going to be more consistent, because it's important to me, and frankly, I haven't been doing enough about it. So I apologise for not filming today. You haven't seen much, but there hasn't been much to see. But I just wanted to jump out here before I get into the car and drive home from the office to tell you that. I'm going to go home. I will catch up with you tomorrow, which is a full day in the office, doing what I need to do, and then driving back home to Northamptonshire. I will see you then. It's Friday, the time is 12:30. I've just got to the office, having had the longest sleep ever. If you've watched the past 3 episodes, so this episode and the previous 2, you'll know that I haven't really had a day off in that entire time. Like, I just haven't. There hasn't been a day where I've done nothing. Now, today I don't have a huge amount to do before I drive back home. I have a big block of like emails and admin that I need to fly through by the end of the week. I have a couple of chats that I need to have with people which are not time specific. So I just slept until I woke up. Then I packed my bags to drive home. I've now come to the office. I'm about to meet with a client very briefly, then do a few hours of emails and admin, and then get back in the car probably around 6 p.m. and drive home. Today is going to be chill, which is nice because it has been a very long time since I've had a day like this and I need it. And then after today, I'm going to attempt to have the entire weekend off other than doing book club on Sunday. So I'm going to go into the office and do what I need to do, and then I'll catch up with you a little bit later on.
Hello pen girl, you can HMU. I don't wanna cuddle in HUG, and I'm still shopping in HMV for all of my niggas in HMP. Heard you got a girl going DMU. If I DM'd you, what she DM me? Young black brother, I'm a stylish G man. I put the IC in IC free.
Well, this is a frustrating update. So I've just finished recording a bunch of reels and I thought they were really good. Like, they look great. I've got the footage up here I filmed them on a pink background. It looks really good. Annoyingly though, I had the microphone below here, like, attached to me, and the audio is terrible. It's really like deep and muffled and you can't hear it and I can't use it, and I do not have time to re-record all of that again with new audio, which means there'll be no reels for the next week or so unless I film some from home. Frustrating, but it's okay. That was my last task of the week. So I'm going to pack up everything from the office and then get myself home. It's really annoying though. It's getting blinded by the sun, so I've moved. It's really annoying because with the black top and the pink background and everything, they looked really good, but the audio just didn't work. It's really deep, it's really muffled. So it's all right, we go again. Not everything works out. So I'm going to pack up the car, get on my way home, and I will catch up with you on Sunday, probably, for book club, because I do not plan to do anything tomorrow, so I will see you on Sunday. If you're wondering, this is what my boot looks like every time I travel. Essentially my entire life packed into a boot. So clothes, toiletries, work stuff, and a few other bits. 5 pairs of trainers shoved down here, running shoes, video stuff, foam roller, clothes under there that need to go in the wash. That is it. That is how I travel.
It's Sunday, the time is about 2:30. I am in the car on my way to sort a few bits that I will tell you about in a minute. But before then, yesterday was good. I had the full day off, as was the plan, but I didn't manage to sit around all day and do nothing, which was also the plan. I tried that and it got to about 3 p.m. and I got bored, so I jumped in the car, drove to Northampton because there were no trains around here yesterday, got on the train to Euston, and then just went on a big long walk around London. Had no idea where I was going to go, just kind of left Euston, walked, ended up at Primrose Hill. It was very nice up there. It was just before sunset. I was listening to Fred Again's album Actual Life Free whilst watching the sunset over London and all of the lights come up with the whole view, and it was a really nice evening. Got back quite late, went to bed, and now I'm up and about doing some life admin-y bits today. So I told you earlier in the week that today was going to be book club day, as is normally the case on a Sunday, but I've actually changed my mind and I'll explain why. So I don't need to tell you that this week has been a bit of a write-off, right? This entire video has probably just been little clips of me moaning about being tired or hurting or not getting a lot done or not running and not going to the gym and just not really doing a lot, right? And I think that the way you get into a rut is you allow an off week like this to kind of permeate through other weeks. Oh my God, fucking hell. That Fiat 500 was smashed up. It's okay, there was a police aware sign on it, so I assume the person is okay and the police are aware, so that's okay. But Jesus, they allow a week like this to just bleed through week after week, to allow this kind of reverse momentum to kick in. And if you allow that, you get into a really tricky spot where it feels very difficult to reset, where it feels very difficult to get back to being productive and being focused and being energized and having that forward momentum that I speak about so much in my content because it is so important. So today, rather than going to Cafe Nero in Market Harborough, as I normally would when I'm home and working on the book for a few hours, I'm going to go to Cafe Nero in Market Harborough and I'm going to just plan every single item into the calendar for the coming week, so I know exactly what I'm doing and I know that everything is going to be taken care of. Plan a new gym routine based on what I spoke about on Friday, because frankly, if I were to go to the gym today, I would have no idea what to do because there is no plan in place. Plan my next block of training running, because I'm probably going to be running a half marathon towards the end of the year. I'll tell you more about that next week. And then just plan in some habits into no idea where I'm going. And then just kind of do some general life admin to make sure that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I know what I should be doing. I know that all of the habits for the week are going to be taken care of, my food will be on point, the training will be back to where it needs to be, and I can just get on with getting on. Because a week like this, which to be honest, if I weren't documenting it, it'd be very easy to hide away from this week and just pretend that it didn't happen, right? I could be on the internet posting that it's just as productive as always, but frankly, it hasn't been. I'm just getting to Sainsbury's to grab some food because I'm back home, so I need to do another food shop of all of the bits that I need for the coming week. And then I'm going to go to Market Harborough, go to that Cafe Nero and do some life admin. And then once that is done, I will catch up with you a little bit later on. But before I say goodbye for the week to tell you how I got on.
Game. At this age, how are them man still hating? My young boy in a different country, but he ain't never been on vacation. One hand on a girl I'm dating, one hand on the cash I'm making. We come through like Funky Friday and have all of your man them skating.
So I'm back home, sorted everything I needed to today, and I'm just about to get ready for bed, to wake up tomorrow, to hopefully have a far more productive week, a far more useful week next week than what this week has been. If you made it to this part of this episode in particular, thank you, because I appreciate that this week has been unexciting and uneventful and a bit of a mess. However, it's just the reality sometimes. I have done all of the planning I need to, all of the preparation I need to for next week to be a lot better, and I don't mean a lot better on the vlog, because whatever happens in real life happens on here, but as a week in real life, as a week of me actually getting things done and pushing forward with my goals for between now and the end of the year, next week will be a lot more useful than this week. But I needed this week, right? I needed the week to recover, to rest, to feel sorry for myself with the injuries from the half marathon. They are mainly gone, so running begins next week. Just scheduled my entire week and it's looking busy but really, really productive. Very few meetings, very little travel, so I'm looking forward to it. And so that is everything. Thank you again for watching. I'm gonna get myself to bed and I will see you next week.